Beneath the surface, the world slows. Sound folds into softness, and motion becomes memory. Every drop of light that enters the water transforms, fractured, bent, and multiplied until it fills the space with living radiance. The surface, once a mirror, becomes a distant sky trembling with light. Here, the rules of the world above no longer apply. Air is replaced by motion, gravity by grace. Each movement is a dance without effort, a thought made visible. The descent is slow and deliberate. Bubbles rise like transparent pearls, ascending in steady rhythm. They carry the last trace of the air world upward, small reminders that every journey begins by letting go. Light filters downward in golden columns. Each shaft sways as if breathing. Between them, shadows move with weightless patience. It is a cathedral of liquid glass, silent, infinite, alive. Fish appear like scattered jewels suspended in the glow. Their scales catch the sunlight and scatter it again, turning the water into a shifting mosaic. No sound of flapping wings, no rustle of leaves, only the muted heartbeat of water meeting itself. The floor below undulates in soft ridges of sand. Waves from above send faint ripples across it, writing and erasing lines in an endless rhythm. Each mark lasts only seconds, yet the gesture is timeless. Tiny particles drift in the currents like dust caught in sunlight. They move not with purpose, but with peace, guided by unseen hands of water. Every motion here is connected: the current, the light, the creatures, the quiet pulse of depth. A school of silver fish passes, their movement so unified it resembles a single living fabric. They turn, shimmer, and vanish into brightness, not fleeing, not chasing, simply existing within flow. As the descent continues, color deepens. Blues thicken into turquoise, and the sunlight's warmth cools into something more eternal. The body begins to understand the rhythm of this place, the slow pulse of pressure, the gentle heartbeat of the sea. In the shallows, coral gardens rise from the sand. Their branches reach upward like slow-growing flames, each one shaped by centuries of patience. No hand built these towers, yet they stand as monuments to time. Within their hollows, life blooms quietly. Tiny fish move through forests of coral, their colors shifting as they pass through patches of light. A starfish clings to a rock, unmoving but radiant, its 5 arms tracing the geometry of stillness. The water hums with invisible life. Every inch of space holds motion, too small to see, plankton drifting, invisible spores floating, the sea's own breath made microscopic. It is a calm chaos, a slow storm of life without noise. Above, the surface flickers, distant now. The light that once came freely must now fight to reach this far. It bends, softens, spreads, a painter's hand brushing gold onto blue. A single ray of sunlight finds a path through the shifting water. It lands on a patch of coral, and for a heartbeat, the colors ignite. Red like ember, green like glass, blue like thought. Then the water moves again, and the moment passes. Sound changes here. It is not silence, but a softened world, where distant clicks, faint vibrations, and the pulse of unseen creatures blend into one deep murmur. This is not emptiness. It is fullness, too vast to require words. A turtle drifts into view, its shell patterned like weathered stone, its motion effortless. It does not swim so much as float, within intention. The water carries it, and it allows itself to be carried. Beneath it, a trail of shadow flows like smoke. Small fish gather behind the shape, finding comfort in its wake, a moving shelter in a place with no walls. The descent reaches a place of still balance. Pressure and peace meet here. The world no longer invites attention. It simply is. No horizon, no edges, no sense of up or down. Only motion suspended in clarity. A jellyfish rises through the shafts of light, its body transparent, its motion hypnotic. It pulses upward with the rhythm of breath, its tentacles trailing threads of silver. Every movement seems measured, deliberate, yet effortless. This is how the sea breathes, not with sound, but with light, not with effort, but with grace. The ocean's lungs are made of water, and each pulse, each drift, each shimmer is a heartbeat too vast to count. Here, time dissolves. There are no seconds, no minutes, only the soft rhythm of currents, the constant gentle rearranging of light. The longer the gaze lingers, the more the mind begins to match this pace. Peace here is not an emotion, it is an environment. It enters quietly, through the eyes, the ears, the breath. It requires nothing and offers everything. Beneath the surface, life is not measured in noise or movement, but in the softness of continuation. Every living thing, coral, fish, current, plankton, exists as part of the same unbroken motion. The sea is not a place to visit. It is the continuation of every stream, every drop of rain that ever fell. It is the memory of water returning home. The descent ends in a gentle arrival. The water steadies, and what seemed infinite now reveals detail, a living architecture spread across the sea floor. Coral gardens stretch outward in silent geometry, towers, spires, and branches, built not by design but by patience. Each shape is the result of countless years of quiet work, tiny creatures layering their homes, generation upon generation, building beauty from stillness. Light moves through this landscape as breath moves through lungs. It slides between coral branches, ripples across their surfaces, and shatters into 1,000 particles where fish pass through. Every color imaginable lives here, but softened, slowed, bathed in blue. Some coral glows faintly with its own inner fire, a quiet luminescence that hums within the shadows. Others mirror the sunlight above, their edges catching the day and scattering it like slow fireworks. The water carries color as if it were a song, the melody changing with every passing current. A parrotfish drifts into view, its scales a watercolor of green, pink, and blue. It moves in slow arcs, nibbling at coral, releasing tiny bursts of dust that sparkle like powder gold. Each flake of disturbed sand becomes a miniature star, rising, swirling, vanishing again. Here, creation and decay are the same act, a continuous exchange of matter and light. Between the corals, a ray glides, its wings undulating in quiet rhythm. The sand below ripples with its passing, and for a moment, the world seems to breathe with it. Nothing chases, nothing flees. Each movement fits the next, a chain of cause and calm. Currents drift lazily through the coral forest, carrying whispers of far-off tides. Each eddy brings news, temperature, trace salt, fragments of plankton. The corals taste this current and respond with tiny unseen gestures, flexing their soft polyps like slow applause. A moray eel peers from a rock crevice, its eyes still, its body part shadow, part shimmer. It does not hunt, it observes. The ocean's patience lives in its gaze. A single flick of its tail sends a swirl of sand rising like smoke. The particles hang in the water before settling again, each grain finding its place without hurry. Sound here is a texture, not a noise. The faint crackle of tiny crustaceans echoes like a distant fire. The low hum of current rubbing against rock vibrates through the body rather than the ear. Together, these sounds form a kind of language, not meant to be understood, only felt. Light becomes the sea's alphabet. Every flicker, every change in hue is a word in a language without sound. Fish read it effortlessly. When the light sharpens, they move into shade. When it softens, they drift back into open blue. Nothing resists the communication of radiance. A sea turtle glides overhead. The edges of its shell catch sunlight like bronze. Its slow circular motion turns the entire scene into choreography. Beneath it, small fish follow, tiny silhouettes orbiting in quiet devotion. Their journey is not to arrive, but to accompany. The coral landscape opens into a clearing, a sandy plain glowing with refracted light. The surface above ripples, casting ever-changing patterns of brightness that crawl across the sand like moving lace. No shape repeats, no moment returns. It is a living projection of the sky upon the sea's floor. Tiny shrimps flicker between coral branches, transparent bodies catching the light for an instant before vanishing again. Crabs shuffle with careful precision, leaving trails that will vanish within minutes. Every life here leaves a mark only long enough to be replaced. There is comfort in this impermanence, a world where nothing needs to last to matter. Farther on, coral rises higher, towering shapes touched by the last strong beams of sunlight. Fish thread between them in shimmering ribbons, moving with a unity that seems instinctive, a single organism made of hundreds of individuals. When they turn, light refracts from their bodies in a wave, silver, then blue, then gone. It is a silent applause for the presence of light. Even in stillness, the ocean moves. Currents slide through invisible corridors, stirring the sand, brushing coral tips, folding strands of seaweed into slow motion. In this constant movement, life finds balance. To resist would be to break. To flow is to endure. A pair of angelfish meet mid-water, circling once, twice, their fins trailing threads of gold. Their dance is unhurried, as if the water itself were conducting them. Then, with a single shared motion, they vanish into the blue. Everywhere, the light continues its slow transformation. What was once bright white becomes the deep shimmer of turquoise, then soft sapphire, then a faint echo of color, deeper below. Even here, where the eye begins to strain for brightness, the world does not darken. It simply cools into serenity. A sense of endless continuity fills the water. Every creature, every grain of sand, every bubble participates in a rhythm too vast to name. This is not chaos. This is order beyond measure, the quiet agreement of life with its own flow. The coral garden breathes. Its shapes sway gently. Its colors pulse as the sun moves. Each living form is a syllable in the ocean's song, and together they write the poem of balance. Here, beneath the surface, peace has a pulse. It moves through color, through shape, through the patience of time itself. And as the gaze moves forward, the coral begins to thin, making way for open blue, a slow invitation to drift into the great drift. where space replaces structure and movement becomes the only landscape left to follow. The garden of coral gives way to open blue, and the world widens into weightless space. Here there is no floor and no ceiling, only a slow, boundless drift, where light becomes motion, and motion becomes light. The water carries everything in gentle suspension. Plankton, like lanterns, shoals like living tapestries, the faint outline of distant forms moving as if in a dream. Columns of sunlight fall like soft pillars through the mid-water, each one a corridor of gold. They sway with the current, bending in slow waves, and within their paths, particles float like slow constellations. The effect is a field of liquid stars, slowly rearranging themselves as the tides breathe. In that luminous architecture, each creature finds its place without hurry. Every course is chosen by inclination and ease rather than force. Jellyfish drift like drifting thought, translucent bells pulsing in the deep hush. Their bodies glow with inner translucence, edges blurring as they move. Tentacles trail behind like fine calligraphy, writing invisible language into the water. They move by surrender, each pulse a small consent to the current, and in that surrender there is dignity, a clear, quiet trust in the motion that carries them. Schools of fish pass as soft storms of silver. They turn as one living sheet, folding and unfolding with astonishing grace. Light runs across their scales in traveling flashes, a traveling applause that brightens the water for an instant and then falls away. Within their body, the sea displays a communal intelligence, an agreement to hold together, to become for a moment a single, shimmering being. Beneath and between these movements, larger shapes glide with serene purpose. Rays flatten into liquid wings, turning the water into a slow flight path as they pass over sand and stone. Turtles move with the ancient calm of navigation, limbs beating slow and sure, each stroke a testimony to long ages and patient roots. Their shells are maps of subtle scars and soft growths, each mark a slow story of currents and seasons. The midwater holds curiosities that do not show themselves near the surface. Drifting siphonophores, long filamented forms that float like living lace, squid that pulse with sudden delicate flares, fragments of drifting kelp forming soft, moving forests. These are not spectacle, but texture, details that make the great open intimate and alive. The eye grows generous in this place, learning to read small motions as rich landscapes. Light continues its slow conversation with water. As sunbeams filter deeper, they split into finer threads and cool into turquoise, and then into deeper sapphire. The color itself acquires a voice. Pale hues speak of shallows and warmth. Darker blues murmur of distance and slow patience. When a wave moves above, the light below ripples like a fine fabric, and the whole space breathes in response. Occasionally, a shadow passes across this luminous field, not threat, but simply scale made visible, the slow silhouette of a larger creature moving above or beyond. It serves as reminder of distance, of layer upon layer of life stacked in generous intervals. These silhouettes are companions of the drift, moving steadily without hurry, their presence a measured punctuation in the mid-water's long sentence. Particles of life, plankton, spores, microscopic motes, carry the day's chemistry. They feed the smallest mouths and in their abundance sustain the large. When currents gather them into columns, Feeding frenzies appear like whispered celebrations. Fish turning in perfect circles, tiny mouths opening and closing in a gentle chorus. There is no violence in this dining, only efficient intake and the quiet renewal of the food web's slow design. Voices of life here are tactile rather than audible. The brush of fin on water, the slide of a body through a current, the tremor of a tail. Each motion translates into a pressure felt by surrounding life. Sensitive skin and lateral lines read these touches and respond so that navigation becomes a conversation of subtle nudges. Movement writes messages in the medium itself, and the medium replies with gentle correction. Occasionally, a ship of light appears near the surface, an iridescent school turned translucent, their density so great that for a moment they seem like a living cloud. To pass through them is to swim with a constellation. Colors flash and then settle. The water becomes fluted with reflected sky. Such moments are brief and holy, a reminder that the sea's most profound wonders are often collective, arising from many small lives, acting as one. The Great Drift is also a corridor of migration. Seasonal currents carry voyagers across the midwater. Tunas and mackerel cut through the blue with silent power, their bodies engineered for speed, yet tempered by the same calm that pervades this place. These journeys are not dramatic in headline. They are solemn and measured, a slow forwarding of life's needs across oceanic distance. Amid this larger motion, tiny dramas continue. A cleaner goby attends to a larger fish at a rock, its action thorough, ritualized, an intimate service performed without haste. A crab scratches at the underside of a stone, clearing algae with patient persistence. Every such task, however small, contributes to the ocean's great choreography. Drifting through midwater, attention meets unexpected clarity. The mind used to sharp transitions, sound, light, touch, finds different delights here. Gradient, texture, the way color shades into shade. An extended gaze becomes its own reward. Concentration loosens into gentle observation. Thought no longer seeks the next thing, but learns to hold the present like a soft jewel. The water's memory preserves movements and returns them as pattern. A passing current leaves a faint trace in the form of angled particles. Later, another current reshapes it into a palindrome of motion. These repeated gestures are not redundancy, but a slow construction of meaning. The sea remembers by reweaving the same lines in new orders. Here and there, glassy comb jellies scatter light like living prisms, their internal cilia flashing in sequence. They make the water glitter in soft rhythms, tiny beacons against the deep, and always the jellyfish. They drift and pulse, a model of delicate longevity, their slow choreography and instruction in flow. In midwater, predators exist in a manner that feels more ancestral than ferocious. A shark glides, not in hunger rage, but in quiet competence. Its body sweeps through the blue like a drawn brushstroke. It moves with the assurance of practice, each beat of tail conserving energy and conserving the sea's balance. When it passes, schools part with seamless skill, a practice ballet that resists panic and instead expresses pattern. Beneath the surface, light collects in bowls and pools of brightness where currents converge. Fish gather there, drawn by warmth and bounty, and the water seems to hold a warmth like a shared breath. These pockets of light are small sanctuaries in the vastness, places of congregation where life maintains a pace both active and restful. As the afternoon advances, the water's hues grow richer. Sunlight, traveling through longer columns of water, diffuses and cools, creating an ever deeper palette. The drift becomes a procession in layered color, pale turquoise to lapis to a shimmering deep, each band holding creatures suited to its tone. Within these bands, life arranges itself by need and temperament. Bright fish occupy near-surface gardens. More somber forms inhabit the cooler, shadowed bands. This stratification is gentle, a living taxonomy that reduces conflict by design. Nature's rule here is harmony through placement. Currents continue to braid the midwater into slow ribbons and eddies. Where ribbons meet, turbulence forms miniature sculptures, foamless waves and spirals that persist for moments before dissolving. They look like calligraphic flourishes etched into the blue, then erased by a considerate hand. It is impossible to watch without learning patience. The eye slows to meet the sea. Occasionally, patches of floating seaweed provide shade and shelter. Small communities cluster there, their lives turning around these slow islands of green. Under their fronds, micro-worlds thrive. Tiny fish, invertebrates, and juvenile forms, each one using the safety of drift to find food and growth. Through the great drift, the ocean speaks of continuity. No sharp transitions, only gradations that invite steady attention. The feeling deepens into a lesson that endurance is not speed, but measured persistence, that presence is not stillness, but intentional motion, that grace is often the art of letting go. As the day keeps its simple arc, the midwater remains luminous and open, a generous field that offers sight and stillness in equal measure. The sea does not hurry the observer, it only expands the capacity to look, to feel, to align breath with current, and to become, for a time, part of the great drift itself. The current begins to lean upward, subtle but insistent, and the slow ascent toward light begins. It is not an escape, not an end, only a continuation of the circle, the same current that once pulled down now lifting again in perfect balance. The color changes first. The deep sapphire begins to open, softening into turquoise, then into radiant gold green. The water brightens as the distance to the surface narrows. Every flicker of motion now shines clearer. Edges regain definition. Shadows shorten until they merge with the light that creates them. A vast quiet persists, but there is a new awareness within it, the hum of life drawn toward brightness. Fish shift their paths ever so slightly, their scales glittering like coins scattered into sunlight. Each one glides through the gradient of rising color, carrying a private shimmer of gold that grows stronger with every meter. Upward, the columns of light thicken. They no longer fall in lines, but pour in sheets. The surface itself appears not as a barrier, but as a living mirror, a ceiling of trembling silver through which the sky breathes. The water between here and there is filled with the motion of return. Seaweed twisting upward in slow praise, air bubbles ascending like lost stars finding their home again. The light above ripples constantly, its skin trembling with every breeze far beyond sight. Each ripple writes a shifting language on the seafloor, a language of brightness and shadow that repeats without pattern. The sea listens to its own handwriting, and the listener becomes aware of being read by the same light. Larger lives cross this path of ascent. A manta ray, broad and unhurried, soars through a shaft of radiance. Its wings move not against the water, but with it, each sweep a phrase of perfect grace. Sunlight wraps its body, turning the creature into shadow and flame at once. When it turns, the world around it turns with it, currents folding, plankton shifting, an entire field of motion responding to one gesture. The journey upward feels like rising through time. What was heavy grows light. What was deep becomes transparent. Pressure eases, temperature warms, and the water begins to sparkle with gold dust. Tiny air bubbles left by passing creatures catch the sun before bursting, each one releasing a flash of pure white light. Near the surface, sound changes again. It grows rounder, softer. The murmur of waves filtering downward, the distant crackle of life within coral shallows. The sea has many voices, but here, close to the light, they blend into a low, steady pulse. It is the sound of everything breathing together. The first glimpse of the surface feels dreamlike. It wavers just above, a sheet of light stretched thin across the sky's reflection. From below, the world above looks inverted. Clouds dancing on water, the sun broken into 10,000 shifting coins. Every wave becomes a lens, bending and reshaping the sky with every heartbeat. A school of silvery fish rises together, each body a small mirror of sunlight. As they pass upward, their reflections multiply, so that for a moment, the sea itself looks filled with stars ascending. They break the surface in brief flashes, a quick communion between worlds, then vanish back into blue. The coral gardens return below like memory, dim shapes softened by distance and brightness. From above, their forms seem peaceful, their busy life now a tranquil texture under drifting light. What was once seen closely now feels infinite, part of a whole that continues long beyond reach. At the boundary where water meets air, light scatters into chaos, then order again. The hand of the sun paints moving gold across everything it touches. Here, the sea ends only in illusion. Each wave folds into another, and each crest becomes a new valley for the next to rise from. No finality, only rhythm. Breaking through, the world expands again. Sound rushes back, soft but unmistakable. The hiss of the breeze, the pulse of the tide meeting shore. The ocean's calm voice is still here, only transformed into another medium. The same motion continues, translated into air. Above, the sky is vast and bright. Clouds drift like slow whales across the blue. The surface mirrors them so perfectly that it's hard to tell where one world ends and the other begins. Sea and sky become one continuous breath. The light on the water winks like slow laughter, and everything in sight gleams with calm delight at its own being. Along the surface, patches of kelp sway gently. Their long ribbons stretch outward, each leaf tracing the small rhythm of the waves. Tiny bubbles cling to their edges, catching the sun and glowing like strings of pearls. Between the fronds, fish flicker in and out of view, shadows in the mirror, children of both sea and light. The world at the surface holds duality and unity at once. It belongs to both depths and air, to silence and to sound, to weight and to ease. It is the border of everything, yet it feels like the true center of peace. The current slows. For a long while, nothing moves except the faint vibration of sunlight. The sea's breath becomes shallow, and the mind, if it were still separate, begins to match it. In that stillness, the awareness broadens. Everything that has been seen remains present. The coral, the light, the drifting forms, the patient pulse of life beneath the surface. The water glows brighter still, not from outside, but from within. Every ripple is gold, every shadow gentle, and in that glow, the understanding deepens that peace is not found in stillness alone, but in motion accepted, that calm is not the absence of sound, but the harmony between many quiet voices. A final bubble escapes and rises, its reflection carrying the image of the sea below and the sky above. It breaks softly, releasing nothing. Because everything it held already belongs to the air, the sea exhales, light returns to the surface in full, and the journey becomes complete, not as an ending, but as a return to balance. The endless rhythm of the world beneath and above, forever breathing as one. The water rests, the light stays, and peace, unchanged, continues to flow. Subscribe to Most Beautiful for softly narrated cinematic journeys through nature, water, and light. Every film is a meditation, not just to watch, but to feel. Let calm flow through you. The story continues below the surface.